The face is correct. That is the worst part. Same eyes beside the bed, same tired mouth, same person shape, proof of a normal morning. Nothing has changed enough to blame the room, the light, or some bargain bin horror fog. They know this face. But inside, where recognition is supposed to arrive with a little click, there is nothing. No warmth, no certainty, no private answers saying, yes, this is them. So the room stays ordinary, which somehow makes it worse. Because the impossible thought is not, who is that? It is, why does that look like them? Normally, a familiar face does two jobs at once. One part of the brain identifies the face, yes, this is the right person. Then another quieter system adds the feeling, known, safe, mine. You see a loved one, and the feeling is already there before you can inspect it. But in Capgras, the face can still pass the visual test. The eyes say correct. The memory says correct. Even the voice sometimes may still sound exactly right. But the signal that says this person is real to me does not show up. And once that signal is missing, the brain has proof that matches and a feeling that refuses to. The brain does not shrug and say, well, that was weird. It tries to fix the contradiction. Because if this is the right face, but the person feels wrong, then the brain chooses the story that protects its own logic, not the kindest explanation, not the calmest one, the one that makes the contradiction feel less broken from the inside. This person looks exactly like them because they are a double. Doctors were writing this nightmare down more than a century ago. In 1923, Joseph Capgras and Jean Rabouilles described it in France. They called it illusion des sosies, the illusion of lookalikes, which is a very elegant phrase for someone you love now feels like a copy. Their original case was a 53-year-old French woman. She believed doubles had replaced her husband and other people she knew. And then the circle got even colder. She believed there was also a double of herself. So this was not just one French case with a nightmare name. It became part of the delusional misidentification syndromes. Patterns where the brain gets identity wrong while reality keeps looking normal. Capgras is usually described as the most common one. And it is not its own DSM-5 diagnosis. It is a pattern that can live inside delusional illness. The imposter does not have to be one loved one. Once replacement becomes the answer, almost anything familiar can become suspect. A spouse, a child, a nurse, the person making breakfast, the person changing the sheets. Very often it lands on the primary caregiver, which is a brutal little design flaw if you think about it for more than 3 seconds. The person doing the most care can become the person who feels least real. And the caregiver is left in a strange position, present, useful, exhausted, and accused of being someone else. Not because they changed, because the signal that says, I know you, stopped arriving. And sometimes the same logic spreads past people. An object can feel replaced. A pet can feel replaced. Even the self can be split into a double. In 2016, doctors described a Capgras case. A 71-year-old man believed his cat was a different cat. Not a monster, not a fantasy, just a familiar animal that no longer felt like the same one. Sometimes, Capgras is rare enough to look like a glitch in the margins. And sometimes, in the right brain state, it stops looking like a margin at all. It shows up across psychosis, mood disorders, dementia, epilepsy, strokes, tumors, and Parkinson's disease. Not because all these conditions cause imposters. That would be neat, dramatic, and medically useless, the Holy Trinity. The point is colder. Many different failures can pressure the same reality-checking system. In broad psychiatric estimates, Capgras can sit under 1%. Tiny numbers, almost background noise. But a first-episode psychosis cohort of 517 people found 73 with Capgras phenomenon. That is 14.1%. Suddenly, the strange belief is not just a ghost story with a diagnosis code. Dementia adds another pressure point. In Alzheimer's disease, a meta-analysis estimated Capgras at about 6%. But in Lewy body dementia, one study reported 16.6%, often beside visual hallucinations. So the face is not failing alone. It is sitting inside a wider system where perception, memory, and belief are all under strain. The face is not the broken part. That is the part that makes Capgras so quietly horrible. In 1997, researchers tested 5 people with Capgras syndrome. They showed them familiar faces, the exact kind of faces the brain should not treat as neutral. And visually, the system could still say, yes, I know this person. But the body did not answer the way it normally would. The automatic signal, the tiny physical proof of familiarity, was reduced. No warm internal proof, no quiet yes from the nervous system. Which is a terrifying thing to lose because we outsource so much reality to that feeling. Then, in 2017, another clue came from lesion network research. All 17 lesion-induced delusional misidentification cases connected to the left retrosplenial cortex, and 16 of 17 connected to the right frontal cortex. So this was not just a bad face file in the brain's dusty little office. It looked like a break between familiarity, memory, and the system that judges what to believe. And that is why the answer cannot just be prove harder. You do not win by cornering the delusion with facts. So care has to begin where the break actually is, not at the face but underneath it. That can mean medication or therapy for the illness underneath, plus care that does not try to cross-examine the delusion into surrender. The goal is not to win the argument, it is to lower the fear around it. It can mean reducing fear instead of trying to cross-examine it out of existence. It can mean speaking before entering the room, because the voice may still reach where the face does not. The same face can still be there beside the bed. The face was never the wrong face. The missing part was the signal that made it feel like home,